something has to change. You need help, or
definitely.
you need support, you need guidance, you need to change something.
Hey there, guys, welcome back to this week's episode, episode 2 of the FitPro Social with Ash and Dave, because that's what we're doing this time. Apparently Ash and Dave makes more sense from what I've been told. So I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Yeah, don't know about that. Still think Dave and Ash. So we promised last week we're going to try and get a guest on this week to have a chat. And we have. Shane's nicely come on and said he'll come and have a chat with us all. You did just miss his guitar solo. If we get time, I might get him to put it back out again and do a little guitar solo to finish off.
Create some bonus footage material or something for subscribers, maybe.
Exactly, I think that's what it should be. Get some bonus material out there.
Before we started, we always just have a quick chat about kind of what we're going to talk about. And like Shane was suggesting about getting started. And this is something now, straight away, before we actually dive into the main section. But like when we recorded last week's episode, we were like, Dave, I'll do the website. Ash will do the video editing. And we'll kind of put it on YouTube and we're good to go. We create a YouTube channel. And first thing YouTube says to us, your video has to be less than 15 minutes unless you verify your account. So yeah, these are the things that we learned way back when we got started. And now our YouTube channels have like thousands of videos on. When you're starting a new one, you have to verify it before you can do more than 15 minutes, which we're going to have to do.
It's just strange, isn't it? Like you forget these kind of things. Like when you kind of go back to the beginning, all these little things you kind of do and the mistakes you make and things like that. Some things obviously you learn from, but the small little things like that, you think, oh, forgot about this and forgot about that and all those kind of things. Also, things change as well, don't they? Like, I honestly cannot remember having to verify my account to put longer than 15-minute videos on, but there you go. Really can't remember at all. I mean, that'd be a cool thing to talk about too. Let's maybe a couple of topics we can go through. Like, it's going to be a relatively short one today and try and keep them short, but about what it was like when we first started. So all of us have, relatively successful businesses now. Most of us have multiple businesses, and we like to put ourselves through the hell of running multiple businesses. But let's talk a little bit about what it was like when we first started and maybe the mistakes we made and that kind of thing. I mean, since Shane's here, let's talk about Shane, because literally you do all sorts of stuff. I mean, literally what you're studying, you've got your current business out there that you're trying to grow as well. You've got your family, and everything exactly. Yeah. So what's that been like?
I think well, it's been tricky, definitely. I'm not for 1 minute going to say that we've absolutely cracked it and nailed having a balance between all those things. But morning before last, we were up at 5 a.m. just because Hugo decided to get up and he was up and ready for the day, and we were like, could really do with another 2 hours sleep, to be honest, Hugo, if you don't mind going back to bed. But that'd be ace. You've got all the general stuff like that to contend with. But yeah, I think like one of the main things really, in the early days especially, was basically doing absolutely everything myself and having that thing that in my head where like nobody else is going to be able to do this bit as good as I am or as good as I do it. And but that went into everything, whether it was social media content or calls or doing delivering the nutrition services. I was the best nutritionist in the world, and there's nobody better than me, obviously. And all, even sales, like, I wouldn't want anybody else doing the sales for us because there's only me that can do the sales, like, obviously. And it doesn't work like that. It's actually a huge bottleneck when you have that filter on. And I had to learn the hard way. I think I spoke to you both about this before, but when I was starting up, I managed to get about 40, 50 clients working one-to-one with them. And I was up till, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning every single day for about a year and a half. And I'd not seen Jade pretty much for about a year. She was sat in the living room watching TV. I was sat in the kitchen at the table with the laptop. And it was like that, maybe not every night, but the vast majority. And it got to a situation where we were a bit like, is this going to go on forever? What's the situation here? We were engaged to be married and stuff, and it's like, this isn't very good for me, And I thought things have got to change. Like, how do we change that? It's not fair putting your family through that. Don't get me wrong, you have ups and downs and fluctuations. It has to happen a little bit, and it peaks and troughs a little bit. That's absolutely fine, but as standard practice, that can't happen really, and that's one of the learning curves I've had to go through. Really,
it's a big one, isn't it? I think. I mean, when I was a bit younger and I started doing this, I started my first business really, like ego was there. I was very similar. Like I have to do everything. No one else can do it as good as I can. And it sounds like it had kind of similar thought processes. I kind of got to a bit where like life cannot just be like this. And I think then it's when I kind of changed tact. I started realizing what an actual business was. So like I kept thinking, like for me, I was like, oh, I'm a business owner. That sounds really cool. When someone's, what do you do? Well, I'm an entrepreneur. Like I run this business. I do this and do that. How much do you earn and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually I got to the point where everything just got on top of me. I had a proper burnout. I mean, I've not told many people about this, but I literally got up out of the office because at the time we actually had an office at the time. I got up, didn't tell anybody who was working for us. We had a staff team in there. Got up, walked out the door, and I just disappeared. And I walked towards the train station, and I got onto the train and started to go. And then Sarah, who wasn't my wife at the time, but now is, found us and talked us into coming back. Like I had a proper burnout from it all because it was doing my head in. I was thinking, there's no way out of this. And that night, I got back and then realised what a business was. And I was like, this business or anything we do is there to try and help us achieve what we want to achieve in our lives, isn't it? That's it. It's a tool, really, to help us achieve what we want to do, whether that's an impact on certain people, whether that's a certain lifestyle that you want to have. I mean, last week, me and David were talking about, lifestyle businesses compared to growth businesses. Like all these things are really important. You need to understand what your business is designed to do and how that's going to help feed your life. And I think until you understand that, it's very hard to make proper decisions. Like I'm sure in your case, like Shane, if you had a choice between like spending time with your kids, like, or, not spending any time with your kids because you're working 20 hours a day for the next 3 years, I know which one you probably choose out of the two of them.
Literally, my whole life revolves around the business, research, everything revolves around, the kids go to bed at this time, that I can play with them at this time when they get back from nursery or whatever. So I need to be available then, and that's it. I'm not working then. It's as simple as that. I don't get me wrong. Again, it's for me, it's not about perfection because I'm not going to sit here and say, there's not some nights where I do have to just say it's actually happened recently because I've got a PhD deadline. So the last couple of weeks has been really tricky, but it's not standard practice, is what I'm saying. Everybody can do a week or two of look. We've just got to nail this period and then go back to 4 o'clock. I switch off. That's it. I'm playing with the kids, making, I don't know, pizzas and stuff for the kids.
Oh, yeah. And if you've got a plan, haven't you? It doesn't matter putting the work in as long as you have a plan to get out of it. I think it's when you don't have if that just becomes the everyday, then it becomes a bit of an issue, doesn't it? Really. But yeah.
It's scary listening to both of you say this type of stuff because like I just remember one vividly coming back now. It was about 2 or 3 years ago, working in the gym. Elsie worked for DK9 at the time. And I'd taken on too many ad clients to manage by myself. And I don't know, the week was just getting worse and worse and worse. And I just left the gym. I was in my jeans, in my hoodie, and I went for like a 5K run, fully clothed, like in jeans and everything. And they were like, where have you just been? I was just like, I just needed to get out of here, yeah. And then the next day, Elsie was like, should I start doing some Facebook ads with you? And that's literally the stage of FitPro growing again. And then take you back even further beyond that, like the days like when me and Shane were just getting started, I'd do 6 o'clock in the morning, you work all the way till 10 p.m. at night. And I'd be doing that for, I think it was about 1.5 years. And then Holly said, come on, we need to make the change. We booked Thailand 6 months. We had 6 months to try and change everything. And that's, again, how DK9 Fitness changed. So it's like, yeah, I think we all kind of need to go through some, I don't know, kind of like crash or barrier or awareness to say, okay, you've done well to get this far, but if you want to progress, something has to change. Yeah? You need help, or definitely. You need support, you need guidance, you need to change something.
Have you seen those posts that have been up circulating recently? Them every now and again, there's like a copy and paste, if you agree, style post, and one of them's about being a business owner. There's been loads of them, but they sort of wind me up a little bit, those posts, because like if you just stop and listen to what you've just said there, Dave, with regards to everything was overwhelming, you'd take on too many clients, it wasn't set up right, it was, you just want to run away, and you think if you could reverse 2 or 3 years, is that how you wanted your business to look then? Like, No, of course it isn't. It needed to improve and have better systems in place and so on and so forth. But it's 100% you that's created that. This isn't a standard thing that all businesses, oh, you have to be up till blah, blah, blah. You have to be stressed. You have to be overworked and underpaid. And you've created this. Somebody hasn't given you this business and said, it's going to run like this, if that's all right. You've created it. It's up to you to change all that stuff. So, if you're not making, I absolutely love that. If we're not making enough sales, that's my fault.
Yeah.
If we're not delivering for clients, that's my fault. If we're not paying our tax on time, that's my fault. If we're not, everything is my fault. But also the other side is, if we're making millions, and that's my fault too. Like happy days, like let's go and buy an island or something. Like amazing. I've done that. It's mine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing to look at. I think as soon as you take responsibility, I think in everything, not just in business, but as soon as you take responsibility for everything that happens to you, it sounds really harsh and it sounds horrible when you think you have to take responsibility. People don't really like that word, but when you actually understand what that means and the control that can give you, if you take responsibility, you're then in control. Like you are literally in control. You can decide, you can delegate, you can work on the stuff you enjoy doing. You can make decisions based on what you actually want from this because you're taking control, you're taking responsibility for it. I think the moment you start not taking responsibility for something, that's when shit really does go wrong because you then lose control. You've literally not got control over that thing or that thing or that thing. You become more of like a blame culture inside your business. I've definitely been guilty of that before. 100% been guilty of that before in the past. And I say you just kind of learn in the hard way, I guess.
Yeah.
But you need to look out for the signs as well. So there's been periods, there was that time where I'd taken on too many clients and I was really struggling and I just needed to just have 10 minutes. But then there's been periods where a message has landed in my inbox or I've noticed something happen and I've been quick enough to realize that, shit, okay, that was a sign. It's like somebody from the gods has said, Dave, this clear sign that if you keep going down this road, this is going to keep happening. So don't go down the road, change it now. And I don't know. I think we were talking about this last week about luck as well. Like you have to create the luck, but you also have to look out for the signs as well. These things are like, they're there. You just have to look out for them. And when you notice them, take action when you finally do see it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think I've always been, I don't know how it's going to come across when I say it to people all the time, but to me, like you've got this entire universe of stuff and it always puts opportunities in front of you, always puts signs in front of you, everything's always there and it will literally throw everything at you, telling you to go in one direction or another direction. And if you're aware of those signs, if you're aware of those opportunities, then you can make a decision whether to take them or not. Like I'm not saying there's fate or anything like that, but I think there's so many, like you kind of said there, like the act of the gods, if you like, is giving you these little signs. And the more experience you have, the more you do things, the more you pay attention to that kind of stuff and take control and take responsibility for every action that you take, it becomes a lot easier to notice those things and then start making decisions based on that. I'm quite a big believer in that. Like,
at what point then, Shane, are you going to realise that you should have become just a guitar player?
Yeah,
it's not my fault. I wanted the band to stay together. I played for literally over a decade in that bloody band, and everybody buggered off to university and actually did stuff with their life, left me on my own. I ended up having to be a bloody nutrition business owner. Who wants that?
It's like you want all the fame and fortune.
I was going to be on stage.
I mean, say fame and fortune, you've got Wagamama now and the Hairy Bikers.
Oh, yeah.
that was something I'd written down on this, It's like just literally about half an hour before you posted that, I went to a pizza. Remember I put a post the other day, like when you go to a new restaurant and you have no idea what it is on the menu, do you just go for whatever or stick what you know with? About half an hour before Shane posted that Wagamama's comment on his post, they liked my post and commented as well. And this was a local brand. So I mean, if someone is tagging your business, you have to respond to those tags, even if it is going to take 10 minutes out of your day.
Inbox them straight away. Just said thanks so much for that. I really appreciate it. And then just said, is there any way we can collaborate in some way or something? You've got to, honestly, I'm all over it. I'm all over it every single time.
I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? They'll say no, isn't it? Like that's the worst that's going to happen. But at least you struck a conversation up.
Yeah.
At least you've got that going, and it's no extra effort, is it? But
like a man was complimenting my
opportunity.
katsu curry. I've got everything I want already, you know.
So like every single post now, I'm going to just tag Everton in every single post I put in until they say, Dave, do you want to sign for Everton? I'm like, yeah, okay, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, go on then.
Have a free box.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting thing about the fact what you did there. The message they got involved, you know, they tagged in, they said that looks good, and you followed up with that. I think that's a big difference, I think, between businesses. That's when I speak to a lot of the coaches we work to, we talk about like these little things you have to do, these follow-ups you have to do. And so many of them either don't want to do it, or they feel nervous about doing it, or they're concerned about, I don't know, maybe getting a no. The fact that you ask them, like, do you want to collaborate? And they can probably come back and just go, nah, or whatever. But like,
one of them will go, do you know what? Yeah, let's see what you've got to offer. And then you get in there with one, and then, oh, you've done an awesome job there. And then you're in the papers or something for something that you've done with them. And then all the other 999 are like, oh, crap, we really should have. What was that again you were on about the last year? Sorry about that, Shane. You know,
yeah.
And that's what will happen. But yeah, you've got to have that mentality to take advantage of those opportunities, like you said, Ash, 100%. So with our company that we're wanting to grow now, we have 4 other directors, and I know you guys know who they are. You certainly do, Dave. But you have to utterly be dominating in the sales side of things. There's nothing. It doesn't matter if you're a new FitPro and you're just wanting to create like a 40,000-50,000 pound a year salary for you and your family, and that's absolutely fine. If you're wanting to create £1 million company, 5 million, that is totally different again to a 10 million and a 50 million pound company. They're completely different companies altogether. They have to completely change every single time to be able to do those things. But the common theme is like, if you're not making sales, you've got nothing. You've got absolutely nothing. So, you know, that's like, especially for somebody that's new, the first thing I invested in was sales, to learn how to do sales and do it properly. And from there, I'll give you an example. Aaron's our salesperson. You both know Aaron. He works Monday to Friday. I went away with the family it was the weekend before last. And I was just like, you know, I had an hour spare, like a couple of hours spare. We just sat watching TV. Hugo was napping, and we were just like milling around, just waiting for the day to progress. And I've literally reached out to 27 different companies, and we ended up selling to 4 of those. And that was just over the weekend, just following up. Hey guys, how's it going? Oh, how's everything going? You know, re-engaging with people that used to subscribe to us. A couple of those came back, a little offer on some of the modules that we're doing, things like that. I don't have to do that. You don't have to, you know, it's like it's like a game almost, you know. You just have to absolutely, completely dominate on sales.
I mean, without sales, you don't have cash. Without cash, you don't have a business, and it's literally as simple as that, really. Like, if we see a lot sometimes where I want to get this right, I want to have this right system in place, I want to have this program perfect, and in essence, really, it's just a bunch of procrastinations on not doing sales. And I think that comes down to, especially with PTs, it comes down to kind of what you mentioned there, Shane, about not really being trained in that. You know, you never get trained to go and sell. Like, you have to go out and learn how to do that, and have experience doing it, and just accept the fact that at some point you're going to get no's, and don't let your kind of ego get in the way of that. Like, accept the fact it happens, and also remember, a no now is not a no later. Like, these are all people you can follow up with. Unless someone literally tells you to go and piss off, you're probably going to be able to keep working with them. Yeah, in the future.
It's weird, like, because I had a chat with Shane. Was it Wednesday we spoke, or Tuesday? We had a quick chat on the phone. Like, for DK9, the first thing I needed in my life was someone to chase down the leads. I can get the leads, I can sell, but I was terrible at chasing the leads. And I knew straight away at DK9, find someone to chase the leads. And then it was just like, okay, let's find someone to do the sales. So DK9 had that sorted. And it wasn't until this week where, just by chance, Elsie was on holiday, 2 staff members were off at the gym, and I had a cold, that I realized, shit, if I actually want to grow FitPro, I need to, again, what we talked about at the start, relinquish my role of being the person who makes the sales and just get someone in to do that job. Because this week I was a little bit ill, so I couldn't chase up the people who wanted to get started or showed interest, which means put me a couple of days behind, which means Shane could have reached out to them and said, do you want to come join my marketing program? Ash could have joined them, and I'd lost them. And it kind of is one of those things where in our business, we need, I don't know, it's like almost like 3 pillars. We need to be able to generate leads, make sales, and keep clients. As long as you've got those 3 in your business, even if it's a separate person for each one, like the clear path to growth the should's like the key word and everything.
Yeah.
Should be visible.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's kind of like these. I always call it the hat. People say you wear so many different hats inside your business, and I think as your business starts to grow, having a good understanding of these key hats, if you like, and where you fit inside them. And I think you kind of mentioned earlier the differences between, a couple £100,000 a year business, £1 million a year business, 10 million, 50 million, and so on. Where you sit in terms of what hats you wear makes a big difference. Like the way I've kind of always looked at it, you have your basic ones, so like your kind of marketing, lead generation, your sales itself, your kind of operations, and then you have your admin side of it. They'll be like your day-to-day things. And really, if you want to start growing your business, you need people sat wearing those hats. And then I think kind of at the moment where most of us, I know I kind of sit in this area at the moment, like the facilitator area, the person that oversees people doing that. And that facilitator will always, if someone's ill or something like that, will tend to take over and will still have their finger on the pulse of all those things. And then above that, you have that visionary role, the person whose job it is really to try and direct the business in the right direction. And they would normally work with the facilitator, and the facilitator would then work with all the rest of their team from there. And we're trying to do that at the moment. Recently, we'll say a year ago, we brought on Jed. He's now an integral part of the business, is actually coming now as the director of the business. And his job is basically to take over that facilitator role so I can become more on that visionary side, so I can spend more time focusing on where the business is going to go, the direction, the strategy behind it all. And Jed can keep his finger on the pulse of what everyone else is doing. And I think a bit like kind of what you maybe noticed there a second ago, Dave, where like when people come out of it, you're having to get involved too much, and it's trying to structure that business. So if you do want to grow, you do need to make those changes. And I think it's important to kind of identify those roles inside your business and find out who can do them, how you can do them, and how, if you need to, how you can step away from them so you can focus on what you're good at and what's important for your business.
It's crazy to think, like when me and Shane spoke the other day, like if you take a salesperson on, they should be able to pay for their wage almost instantly. With a couple of sales, they'll pay for the wage. But there is aspects within the business. Take Willow, for example. Willow has no involvement in sales at all, so she isn't going to make us any money at all. Her job is to answer clients' questions and keep them happy. That is what her one entire. So she's not going to make us money, but technically at the same time, she is going to make us money because they're not going to leave. So like if you're thinking of hiring somebody and you're like, oh, how are they actually going to benefit my business? Just think about it. Are they going to generate your leads, make you sales, or keep clients? I think if you can hit those 3, and then like you say, Ash, then you've got the management of your team, and then you've got the next step up, the visionary again, the person that's actually thinking of these new ideas and driving it forward.
Yes, especially someone like you, Dave. Obviously, if you've got loads of leads coming in, and then you hire somebody on sales, and whatever the service might be, let's say it's £300, £400, £500 a month for whatever the service is, and you they make 3 or 4 sales in the first month. If they've got a full diary and they're calling 5 to 10 people every single day, there's probably something wrong if they're not making 3 or 4 sales in a month, let alone a week. So straight away, like, their salaries covered within the first couple of weeks, let alone the first month. And obviously, people get paid at the end of the month when they start. So there you go. If it's set up perfectly, especially with somebody on sales, it's something that it literally covers itself. But then, like you said, you've got the sales coming in, you've got the new clients coming in now. You do need people to be making sure that clients are okay as well. And it's funny, I actually met with the director of the company I left to set up the business. I've had lunch with him yesterday, and we were talking about this, and they have like quarterly reviews with they're I don't know, turning like 20 odd million or something like that. So they operates a little bit differently, but they have quarterly reviews with their biggest accounts, and there's somebody that's their full-time job is dedicated to making sure that clients are happy, like you've just said, Dave, because if they're not happy, they don't stay. And if they don't stay, it's like, that that overly used analogy of putting water into a bucket with loads of holes in it. It's like you can oversales it all you want. They're all going to leave, so it doesn't make any difference. You know, you might feel amazing that you've got an extra bag of sales that month, but then next month the other half have left, and it's like, oh my God! Well, they're just as integral as the sales on the front end, definitely.
I mean, it's much more cost effective to keep clients than what it is to get new clients. Hell of a lot cheaper and cost effective to keep them in there.
I'm going to have to break it here because I have got a sales consultation about to start now. I just need the sales person to start soon so we can keep these conversations going. But Shane, we appreciate you coming on this week. Eventually, I'll come back up to your neck of the woods and maybe we can do an actual FitPro social face-to-face or all just sat down chilling on the sofa.
Yeah, we said we were going to put an event on at some point this year as well. You know, we stopped it because of COVID, but we'll have to hire somewhere out and just get, you know, a couple hundred people there and like just help loads of people.
Yeah, it's more the networking and everything as well that comes from it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Right then, Shane, appreciate you coming on. We'll see you.
Take care, guys. Really good to see you.